Welcome everybody. This is, I think, the ninth edition for me of Learn Hebrew with me. I have been live streaming Hebrew on Sundays and Arabic on Mondays, with some exceptions, obviously. So welcome, Bruchim Abayim, Shalom Aleichem Lekulam. And I'm going to get back into what I've been doing. I will say it's been a very busy time, very lot of drama in my life. Not least of which from the latest video that I dropped, which all I will say about right now is that there's an expression in the American South, which is "a hit dog will holler." Learned that from a linguist from Oklahoma, and it's fun. I've been getting emails. Anyway, I I made a recent video about ways that people, things to look out for if people are trying to scam you, and got a lot of feedback from somebody who said, "Hey, that's me." So if the shoe fits. Anyway, yeah, Zevla says, has brought us back. Happy Shavuot. Shavuot is coming up. I am happy to be home right now. I will be maybe live streaming not from home next week. But yeah, I'm going to be having Shavuot in an exciting place. Shalom, 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 Yair, Aaron, James, Lang Explorer, shalom. So I was saying, I was just watching how to solve a quadratic equation with complex solutions. That is something that I don't think I'll be doing in Hebrew by the time that this is over, but you never know. That's one of those things where like people have their own specific areas of interest in foreign languages. And I know there's certain things that I've learned in French that I have no idea how to talk about in English. I interrupted you. Man, get back to quadratics. That's more important. It's, more important stuff. Saint Kisha says, "Yo, fire! All right, all right. So we'll get back to learning a little bit today. Let's see. I'm still using the colloquial Hebrew textbook. I will say this colloquial series is really hit or miss. I will share on the screen. I used it for Persian and it was amazing, and that got me super excited to use it for everything else. And we'll see. We'll see. I see a bunch of comments here too, and I'm getting a text. So I used it for a bunch of other languages, and the Persian one got me super excited and super hyped. The French one looked pretty good, whatever. Everything looked nice. So I decided to use it for Hebrew and to use it for Arabic. And I will tell you right now, I am no longer going to do the Arabic live streams. I might do one last one, but the textbook is very frustrating. If you're already out there using it, then I'll probably make a last one where I explain, like, here's where you can find the useful and relevant information. Here's how I would make use of it. But I just don't have the motivation to sift through something like that. If they had presented the information in a really helpful way, then I'd probably speak a decent amount of Arabic by now. But it's not great. I see Lang Explorer talking about drama. Yeah, if I'm told off in 100 languages, that's fine. I have a hat that I can eat. It's fine. I said I'll eat my hat if I do that. So it'll be great. Yeah. I of course released, for those of you who are unaware, I released a video where I was critical of more than one person, and I did not name anybody. One person in particular has been all over the comments, has been emailing me. But I just dropped that video on a Friday, and then I took 25 hours away from digital social media, anything electronic. I just enjoyed my day. I come back to like just the comments melting down, all these comments held for review, obscene statements in some of the comments, stories about like, oh, here's another person who like said something bad about this person. I'm like, I didn't even say who I was talking about. So it's been a spicy time. There's going to be more spicy videos on the way, but about different things. I have some about AI coming out. I do have one coming out soon about just how to learn any language, and I have some stuff about accents coming out as well that I've recorded all of this in advance. So I'm pretty excited for all of that. Yeah, let's get started on this. I will say about the Hebrew course here, it's okay. This and Duolingo are both okay. I have a notebook for Duolingo, which I probably should have grabbed to show you all what I'm doing with it, but it's I basically, jot down all the new words and I write down a lot of the sentences and transliteration and I make connections, whatever. I'm doing like sort of mind mapping kind of stuff. I'm trying it out. Not sure how I feel about it. It does seem to be helping a little bit, but maybe I'll make a fuller video about that later. This book is the first edition. I have the second edition in the physical copy, and there's weird errors in both. The second edition has introduced more errors, but corrected some, but also left some. So it's just it's okay. Zell says okay is an overstatement. Somebody asked for Mandarin resources, and there is an embarrassment of riches for Mandarin. I will say I have a soft spot in my heart for the new practical Chinese reader because that's what we use in college. But I will also tell you, I didn't really learn Mandarin in college. So I got my start with Rosetta Stone, where actually, like version 2, which you can't even get anymore. But hearing it spoken, like there was some connection there of like, oh, hear how people speak. Here's sentence level intonation patterns. Like that stuff is really good. I don't know what they're making now for it, but there's the people swear by the integrated Chinese readers. There's tons and tons of really good stuff, and I think that it's. I mean, 2 billion people speak Chinese, so it's one of those languages that there's a lot of resources. Just make sure that you find something with plentiful audio where you can actually hear both different accents and then sentence level intonation. And everybody, and I'll come back to Hebrew in a second, but for those of you studying Mandarin, do yourself a favor as you are learning the tones. Do not learn them in isolation. Learn words and phrases. And also, do not give yourself physical gestures that you do for remembering the tones because you will do them all the time and you'll look super weird when you're like, 很高兴认识你. Like, just don't do that stuff. There's one YouTuber who has a bajillion shorts and his Chinese is fantastic, but he bobs his head up and down the whole time he's talking with like the tone patterns of the words that he's saying. And it is super distracting and weird. And once you're paying attention to it, you will not be able to unsee it. Yeah, Lang Explorer says you have the colloquial books for 30 different languages and the quality varies a lot. I've heard, I was invited by Georgetown University Press to write a book. I submitted it for peer review. It got mixed reviews. There were some that were glowing and there were some that were like, we don't really like that guy. We think. It's double blind, but I think I know who this is and I don't like him. And one of the things that came out of this whole discussion was a colleague of mine and I were going to write a grammar, and we were encouraged not to go with Routledge because they seem to have very a wide range. So they get a lot of publications out, but they seem to have a very wide range. That is consistent with what I've seen with the colloquial textbooks, where the Persian book was incredible, and based on the fact that Persian's not a widely spoken language, not in super high demand, I thought, man, they must be really good across all these languages. And the colloquial Hebrew's okay. The colloquial Levantine Arabic, I am starting to think is basically unusable. It's if you want to memorize phrases, you'll be all right. But if you want to actually understand the language, I don't think it's like how it works, how it fits together. I don't think it's a great resource. With my decades of language study and my PhD in linguistics and my experience with like other, methods of learning and all this stuff, I, after a couple of months, have not been able to really get much at all out of it. The audio is valuable. And if I had to learn Levantine Arabic and this is all I had to do, I could probably buckle down and do it, but I just don't have the motivation to try and decipher everything. I see in the chat, have I tried Glossica for Hebrew yet? I tried it when Glossica first reached out to me 6 months or a year ago. And they use a transliteration that retains all of the biblical Hebrew. They use like the sort of standard transliteration for biblical Hebrew. They have a sort of a pseudo IPA kind of thing going on. The transliteration does not match what is spoken and is not terribly helpful for modern Hebrew speakers. I also found that they started with sort of an unusual starting place. It was sentences that I did not see the value for a learner starting there, and that was my experience with that. So it may be for you if you like it. Tons of phrase cards, tons of flashcards. I think it's something that can work for people. It is very much not for me. I sent it to a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, and asked his thoughts about some of the Chinese languages, and he was like passionately disliked it. But that's his experience. So I see lots of discussion of that. I'll probably make a full review later, and I do want to be sort of honest and charitable about what the actual platform is versus whether people are making outrageous claims around it. All right, so I last left off on Zot Misada Meod Popularit. And we were going to go to family and plans. So mishpacha v'tochniot. And so let's kind of get into this. James says those darn interns messing up his learning materials. I see a lot of people are keeping up with this. For anybody who's not keeping up with this, the person who was like, "Hey, that's me," also is like, "It's not my fault. It's undergrads." It's like, the marketing firm said things that I didn't tell them to say, and so whatever. It's fine. I hopefully now he knows that his marketing firm is saying things that maybe he doesn't stand by and can adjust that, and that's fine. If you have duly appointed representatives, it's worth being aware of what they are representing. So that's fine. I really am gonna let it go. Lang Explorer says most of them are the cassette tapes. I've been in the game for a while. That's what's up. I have the cassette tapes for the new Practical Chinese Reader, and the new Practical Chinese Reader. Somebody, and hopefully this doesn't blow this up. Somebody uploaded them. I guess they made videos that go with the audio, and so those are all on YouTube, or a bunch of them are on YouTube, and that's kind of helpful as well. It's very weird because they're dubbed, so you see like Ma Dawei, who's the like white Canadian guy, and Lin Na, who's you see all the white Americans and Canadians, but the sounds coming out of their mouths are like a 50-year-old Beijinger language instructor voice. So let's get into some tochniot hadashot. Let's get into some new plans in this unit. We're in unit, 5 here. As always, there's a link for purchase. I have mentioned that it's okay. Version 2 has weird typos. The only thing that you can buy really on Amazon is version 2. Version 1's hard to come by now for whatever reason. And you will need to start drawing lines in the vocabulary to like which words actually line up with one another. But if you want to buy it, follow along. You can feel free. Otherwise, I just want to be clear that this is rootledge and I'm not going through everything and so on and so on. It's for educational purposes and to help people who are interested in learning Hebrew decide whether they want to purchase it. They can follow along. So if you're learning Hebrew and you're doing it this way, buy the book. But otherwise, enjoy whatever it is you choose to do. So in this unit, we're going to learn how to express possession. That's using shell, which is sort of something for this kind of Middle Ages onward. We're going to learn yesh and ein la. So that's 2 different forms of this, which is, I think, can be tricky for people, but I think I have a way of talking about it. Verb group 1, middle root letter vav or yud. So that is pa'al verbs, and with a middle root of vav or yud. So that's verbs like lasim, lakum, larutz, to run. We'll see what's special about those in a minute. Question words, eze, ezo, eze. And then demonstratives, these are those. So ha'ele, hahem, hahen. To be able to, which is adjectivey in Hebrew, and instead of verby in English. So yachol. And what they call word pairs in this edition of the book, and construct state so smichut in the next. And then talking about the family. That's the actual subject matter. I see people just talking about other platforms. Zevel says, what classical composer is my favorite composer? Antonin Dvorak. Not just because the Czech R is fun to try to say, which I'm terrible at it, but the New World Symphony and also the cello concerto in B minor. Those speak to me. Like that, I didn't even have to think about it. So people in English, we usually say Dvorak. Zevel says, not ein, we pronounce it as N, like the letter N. This is already helpful. All right. So as usual, what I like to do is look at the vocabulary first, then go back and look at the dialogue, or look at the grammar and then look at the dialogue. For me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to look at this dialogue first, and then go, oh, what did I learn? Like, let's actually kind of do something here. Zevel, you say great taste in music, but I have to tell you, I first learned about Dvorak when I was in high school. I was 14 or 15, and my first introduction was hearing a techno remix of the main theme to the 4th movement of the Ninth Symphony, and it took an adult taking me aside and being like, hey, stop it. You want to listen to that? Listen to the real thing. Here you go. Um, and that actually blew my mind. But I was definitely like listening to like da, 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 da. Actually, that's the cello concerto. But imagine that with like boom, 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 crazy stuff. We all get there somewhere. I got into jazz from. Did I miss somebody mispronounced Dvorak? Dvorak. I can't do the R. It's the Czech R is not something I've ever practiced, and I know it's got particularities. So Bruno, maybe later I'll do a live stream like language simp saying "uy" for an hour. I'll just make the Czech R for an hour. I'll get it together. All right, let's learn some words here. So tochnit is plan. We saw up top tochniot. I'm still working on that dental T. So tochnit, tochniot. That's probably a little bit better. Shelcha. So tochnit, shelcha. Your plans. Yesh lechem. That's y'all have. And then we have special. Meyuchad, meyuchedet. Meyuch. Meyuchadim, I don't know. Meyuchadot, I don't know. We only have these two here. So meyuchad, meyuchedet, which is special, which is related to like unity, one, right? Unique, special. Echad. So that's a fun little relationship there. People, anashim, live. So chaim. We talked about this a while ago. I think last week. To life, or a couple of weeks ago. You'd say l'chaim. Let's see, mechadim and mechadot is correct. Excellent. Thank you, both Rome and Matt. Oh my God, 10 hours of pronouncing Dvorak. I don't have, listen, I'm not, Language Simp is younger than I am. I do not have 10 hours of live streaming in me, unless some of you are tuning in to me taking a nap. An hour maybe, an hour tops. All right, let's see. We have Chaim, we have Mima. So from what? They have this little apostrophe here. They're inconsistent with how they use transliteration here, but the apostrophe here is indicating it's two things. There should probably be two words in the transliteration. We have Leatchil, to start. We have Lifgosh, which is to meet, which is clearly related to Lehipagesh, which we learned in a previous lesson. Kamuvan, naturally. Kamuvan. I feel like there's got to be some interesting etymological aspects there. We have historical site, atar histori. Somebody confirm for me the stress. Is it histori or is it histori? I feel like because it's a loan word, it should be histori, but I'm not sure. Atarim, historiim. We maybe talked about this last week. I think I previewed this vocabulary. Makom, mekomot. So that's places. The place is a one of the many names of the divine. So that's fun. Amakom. Holy, kadosh. Kadosh. That one is not going to be hard to remember for me anyway. And then we have to suggest matzia and matzia. So the stress tells you if it's masculine or feminine. Matt, thank you. Histori. Yeah, histori. Okay. Kamuvan, as understood. Okay. So they translate as naturally, and of course, oh, kamuvan, as in like ani mevin. Muvan is the passive. Hey, okay. So kamuvan is like naturally, or of course, like understood. Okay, that makes sense to me. There's another one coming up that I always get it confused with because they sound alike a little bit. So that's really good. Kamuvan. Most people would say the same metzia. So you wouldn't say like imetzia. You'd say umetzia, imetzia. Metzia. Matt, I see you in the chat. Are you suggesting that it's the same stress on both, or are you saying that the first syllable should be a slightly different vowel, or both? Is it matzia and matzia, or is it metzia? Just all across the board. No. Okay, I see you. I'll check in once you're done typing. Zevel says you wanted to learn Italian, but you don't know how. You tried easy Italian, but couldn't understand anything. Didn't progress anywhere. Any book suggestions? I meant Italian. I dabbled in Italian for a while before going on a trip to Italy in I guess 2017, and literally just read a grammar of Italian, and I don't even know if I used a textbook. I might have used a little Duolingo. I don't remember, but it's it's a Romance language that I find fun to pronounce, and I find that it has none of the pronunciation difficulties that French gives you, and not a lot of the grammatical difficulties of any. Like it's. I found it fairly straightforward. Okay, Matt and okay, me on both syllables. Matt and Rome both say me. Metzia, metzia. Okay, metzia, metzia. Yeah, this is a weird thing because in this class of verbs, I'm used to the prefix being me. So anyway, Zevel, for suggestions, I'm not sure. I was, how much time do you have? I was thinking about like speed running Duolingo Italian, and that's probably fine if you're paying attention to the grammar. Just get a little essential grammar book. They're like $7 from Dover. But I don't know. And I will say, as a native English speaker and a native English speaker who speaks other Romance languages, it's you know, it's I found it a lot easier than you might find it, just based on your background. I don't know. Chaim Shali is saying, putting in a vote for Italian Duolingo. I think we did a little Rosetta Stone back in the day, so that was fun. But had a hard time retaining it because it's so straightforward. You actually have to like hammer it into your head, because what I found the hardest part about Italian was I would get it the first time I saw it, and then I wouldn't remember it because there was nothing to hang on to. Is it because of the formerly emphatic tadi? That's what I'm thinking, Kato. So, and Chris, I agree. Shalom L'Olam, and thanks for the Kamuvan is understood. Yeah, beautiful. I feel like this is one of those things where like Matsia and Matsia is probably, historically like, it's the kind of thing that the Academy would say you should say, but it's probably not what people actually do say. Neshama Shali is saying we did Duolingo on the tube in London before our trip, and I do vaguely remember that, but I think I've deleted that. I don't even have that on my path anymore. Yeah, Zevel says you're not a native English speaker, and Hebrew and Italian don't have many similarities. Yeah, is there? Rome says have I tried Anki level? Zevel. Anki, yeah. So Anki, I use Anki for stuff. There may be some existing things. I remember there was like spoon-fed Chinese, which was really fun. I might make a video about that approach to things. I feel like there was a spoon-fed Italian. I'm not sure. The idea is that you take some large corpus of Italian from like TV and movies and whatever else, like anything you can get your hands on, and then do a frequency analysis. And then once you've done that frequency analysis, you sort of rank words by frequency, and then take all the sentences and order the sentences based on having the lowest possible score. So like the highest frequency words and the fewest of them to begin with, and then adding one new thing or one new bit of complexity. So you're starting with like super high frequency stuff, and then you go through tons and tons and tons of words. I probably should make a video about that as an approach. See if I can maybe collaborate with one word at a time, because he's great. But yeah, I think if there's something like that exists, that would be a good thing to do. Duolingo's fine. It's all fine. Where I'm talking about sentence mining. That's exactly what I'm describing in like way too many words. All right, so I suggest ani metzia, Anki Duolingo I don't know. Ulai. Can I say maybe here like Ulai Rosetta Stone, something like that? I don't know. They have a YouTube channel, by the way, where they have a bunch of new material, which is actually great. So I don't know. Hopefully they've monetized that. Perhaps confusingly, this chapter also has uv meuchad, and I remember we talked about this where people would say ve b'meuchad. So we have meuchad is special, and then and especially b'meuchad. Okay. Possession. Let's talk about this before we go back. So shel. So the plans of Peter. It's kind of like of in that case. So tochniot shel Peter. What do we have here? Atafrit shel amisada. So the menu of the restaurant. And so on and so on. We already saw this earlier where Boris introduced Jan as his Dutch relative. So Karov Sheli, Meoland. And then we have all these endings. So I think they should have a chart here, and they do. So singular. And this is just the same sort of... Oh, okay. Sorry. I'll finish my sentence and then react to that. This is sort of the same thing that we saw, and we're going to keep seeing in Hebrew, where there's no standalone object pronouns. There's the subject pronouns. So we have ani, and they're all here, ani, anachnu, ata, atem, so on and so on and so on. But then you have these clitics, these object pronoun clitics, where they latch onto things. In this case, they're latching onto the word shel, which is like belonging to. But you have sheli, shelach, shelcha, shelo, shala, shelahen, shelahem, so on. Shelanu. These are the pronouns. They glom onto the word, and it's just a pronoun clitic. We see this on everything. We see this on verbs. We see this on other prepositions. We see this everywhere. So this should be very familiar and easy as we continue. And Matt says also people say b'miochad. Yeah, generally speaking, I agree. Zevel said, I just downloaded Duolingo and I learned cornetto, croissant. How is that going to help me? Can I tell you what word I used a lot when I was in Italy? It was cornetto. They're delicious. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the thing to make it work, I made a video about this, like, can I make Duolingo work? And the thing to make it work, you have to be paying attention to what they're actually teaching you. The words are part of it, but the grammatical structures are the big thing. And they do a very good job of teaching those slowly, but like rigorously, and having you memorize it. It takes time. But I do think it is pretty helpful. But if that's not a layout that works for you, get a textbook. It's great. What I will say though is like I would definitely be like voglio un caffè, questo cornetto, okay. Like I'd be asking like what's in there. I guess quello, whatever. It's been a long time since I've actually looked at Italian, but I'd ask about like if there's nocciola in the cornetto. Nel cornetto. Anyway, it's like have fun. And there's a lot of these. I think part of it too. Matt says first word you learned in Russian was vodka. Second was lightly salted cucumbers. If anybody's been following me, I used to tweet. I don't tweet anymore because X is horrible. But I sometimes share things on Instagram. And if anybody's following me, I stopped Duolingo Hebrew for a long time. And when I got back to it, it was like, quick, hide in the closet. They're coming. And that's how they're teaching imperatives. And so I'm like, I remember this is why I stopped. They try, I mean, there's a wide range of things that they do across different languages. One of their strengths is that the languages aren't all cookie cutter like they are in Rosetta Stone. But one of their weaknesses is they're not all cookie cutter. And so you have this kind of like range of things that different teams made and built into the courses and thought would be fun and interesting. And they really reinforce novelty. So all this like, I don't know, my horse is blowing up a balloon or something. Like that's to have you like really remember like what a strange sentence, and then that works on your unconscious. I do feel like melaphonim is a top word in Hebrew. That was just a cornetto win. Yeah, that's like I don't know why they don't teach. I guess they do teach regel and reglech in Yiddish. I don't know why they don't teach that immediately in Hebrew. Like you have to learn. Actually, how do you say croissant in Hebrew? Somebody leave me a comment. I don't know how many croissants I would be eating if I visited Tel Aviv, but I feel like it'd be sabich all day, but every morning for breakfast. But I don't know, croissant could be fun. Let's see. Replace the pronouns in the brackets with the correct form of shel. So ze misrad ani. So ze misrad sheli. So hachaver ani. We can come back to this. This is not super hard. This is the other one. Probably kanireh. Yair, I'm calling on you. So kamuvan is like as understood. So that seems like it's like naturally, of course, like yeah, of course. But probably kanire. Nire is like the passive of like seen. Is that accurate? Like it's seen. Oh my God, Rome, Matt, are you telling me croissant? Croissant? Is that correct? Maybe I will be ordering them. Corazón, like mi corazón, my heart. That is the best, and I will 100% now be ordering croissant. Croissantim, right? Arbe croissantim, baboker. Oh, I love that. Okay, croissant, I love it. Croissant and corazon, but basically never two syllables. Ganere, as seen. Speakly is better than Duolingo. Lang Explorer, I have never heard of Speakly, so I will check it out. Maybe I'll I should be making reviews. I don't know why I'm not. Those always do well. by the way. And I see YouTube tells me what people are searching for, and turns out I think if you make what people are searching for, YouTube shows it to them, and then it's a good thing for your channel. But yeah, people are asking for language reviews and Duolingo and Speakly and Preply and italki and whatever. I get emails every week from different startups, and they're like, "I'm an AI company, and we're called Lingy Langy." It's always like, it's always Langy, Lango, Lingo, like just it's super annoying. If you want to corner the market, like use a different word. All right, so croissant. I love that. So I'll probably have a croissant. So je gagnerai croissant. It's probably croissant. All right, we have possession 2, and this is one that I find kind of interesting. So this you don't have to have. You have yesh and this the ein, but Zevel has already said it's en, so enli. Le Boris yesh chanut. So we learned yesh, blah blah blah. We learned possessive like I don't know, chanut shel Boris, a shop, like chanut shel Boris, Boris's shop. But this is kind of interesting. So yesh chanut, there is a store. Yesh chanut le Boris, like there is to Boris a store. And then we can put that in the same kind of word order as we would like in English. So Boris has a store. Le Boris yesh chanut. L'Yerushalayim yesh, what does it say? Atarim Kedoshim. So Jerusalem has holy sites. Jerusalem is a holy site, but that's a separate discussion. Avital doesn't have a ticket, so L'Avital en kartis. Hopefully for those of you following along and learning, this is useful. I find it super helpful to just think of this as like Avital doesn't have. Avital does have. It's technically not to have. It's like Russian or other languages where you say like, Arabic, to so-and-so is a. But we put it in this order and just, Le Boris yesh chanut. Let's see. Yesh li, en li, yesh lecha, en lecha. So far so good. Let's see. He has work, but I have plans. Lo yesh avodah. So notice this is lo, not with an aleph. In Yiddish, an emphatic no is loy mit an aleph, right? So lo, but not lo like to him, lo like no. So lo yesh, avodah aval, li yesh, tochniot. He has work, but I have plans. That's a weird sentence. I don't understand the context for that, but that's fine. So zman, time, refrigerator, mikarer, whatever. So let's go back up and see what we did at the beginning. Let's see what this dialogue is. First in English, and then once more with feeling. So what are your plans, Peter? What exactly do you want to do here? Who are you working for? You have a very special country. I would like to see how people live here. If I wanted to be an internet polyglot, I could just stop there. All right, you only have 10 days. What would you like to start with? And he goes, actually, so Ani be'etzem lo b'tuach. Okay, so that's something that was not in the vocabulary. Maybe it was last chapter. I'd like to meet people from the city, from the kibbutz, and even on the street. So that's just, I want to meet people everywhere. Of course, v'kamuvan, so and of course, I would also like to see some historic sites. And the I would and like we just don't have here. And especially Jerusalem and the holy places. What do you suggest? Mat matzia. All right, so we have here, let's do it again in transliteration. Az ma tochniot shelcha, Peter. So what are your, ma tochniot shelcha, Peter. What are your plans? Ma b'diuk ata rotze la'asot po. So what exactly, ma b'diuk ata rotze la'asot po? And we could probably listen to this one in a minute too. Let's see. Rome says the sentence wasn't what I would call natural. Yeah. Maya says, so Peter says, yesh lechem eretz meod miyuchedet. So you have a very special country. Ani rotze lerot ech anashim chaim po. I want to see how people are living here, which is honestly, weirdly, it's a thing that I say when I travel. People are like, what brings you here? And I'm like, I'm just seeing how people are living. it weirdly goes over very well. People are like, oh, we'll show you. Have you been to, I think last time I used this, I was in Gulfport, Mississippi, and they're like, have you been to the gas station where they serve, some of the best fried chicken you ever had in your life? And it was just a totally different experience. Let's see, if you're wondering about Leatzia, which I am, it's from an irregular gizra, which containing only, what is it? There's only 6 root. Okay, they start with that's very interesting. So anybody read the comments, read the chat. There's some quirks to this particular verb. But we'll stick right now with metzia, metzia, and if you want to be fancy, matzia instead of metzia. So let's see. He says, "אני רוצה לראות איך אנשים חיים פה." Maya says, "יש לך רק 10 ימים. You only have 10 days, bro. Like, don't get ahead of yourself. ממה אתה רוצה להתחיל? So from what do you want to start? I assume this is something that you maybe would say in terms of like from which activity would you want to start, as opposed to like this feels like I'm curious if this feels natural to native speakers. If you'd say like איך אתה רוצה להתחיל or something like that. I see, Bruno, why do you use a transliteration? Usually once you get a grasp on the alphabet, you just skip transliterations. There's 2 reasons. One is this alphabet has no vowels. And the other is I can read just fine. I've got that from a variety of other resources. I got that from Duolingo. I got that from reading the Siddur. So this is something where I don't feel like I need to spend a lot of time on this, and it's easier for me to just do the easiest way. And actually, whenever I forget to mention this, somebody asks, so I should always mention it every live stream on languages that have a different script. I am trying to get the words just banged into my head as quickly as possible. And you do need to understand the scripts. But for Persian, for Hebrew, for Arabic, for Russian, like I'll use transliteration because it's faster for me to become familiar with the word. Obviously, you want to be able to write it and spell it correctly, to read it, and recognize it, and so on. But for me, just learning the word, getting that like new content into my brain, I find this is much faster, personally. Your mileage may vary. Rome says asara. There is a asara. Okay. Where is it? Asara. It's not asra. Oh, I was speaking too fast. Yeah. Cato says the Arabic script is cool. It is cool. This is not don't use it. This is as you are learning new things, get it like, and if you find that the novelty of it helps you retain the words, then so much the better. Use that. Use both. I don't like if you give me yamim, I can write that. I have no problem writing that in handwriting, writing that typing, so I don't have a problem. I'm not like missing out on the script using transliteration. But if you feel like that's something that will help you memorize, help you remember, by all means, please do use it. Right now I'm trying to keep it as sort of beginner friendly as possible, even as people kind of tune in and come and go in the live streams. Let's see, how do you say kaf? If it's Arabic, kaf. If it's if it's Hebrew, probably just kuf. All right, so let's keep going. יש לך רק 10 ימים, ממה אתה רוצה להתחיל? להתחיל. I would have transliterated these as le, like L-E-H-E-H-A-T, K-H-I-L, להתחיל. But she really likes using an apostrophe here. So Peter says, אני בעצם לא בטוח. I'm really not sure. Actually, I'm not sure. Can somebody tell me, like, בעצם, is this like, I don't know when I would use this. אני בעצם לא בטוח. I'm really not sure. Or can you say that's really cool? I would say mamash or something else there. I don't know. אני רוצה לפגוש אנשים מהעיר, מהקיבוץ ואפילו ברחוב. Notice the like schwa situation here. I am assuming I could probably get away with saying barchov, but barchov seems fine too. Betzim is like actually in English. So anytime I'd say actually. Okay. Cool. That's betzim. Really good to know. All right, so וכמובן גם לראות אתרים היסטוריים ובמיוחד, or we would say ובמיוחד, את ירושלים. So notice the et because it's a proper noun. והמקומות הקדושים. מה את מציעה? What do you suggest? What do you recommend? אני מציע picking one thing, bro. So she's going to recommend going to the kibbutz next. I'm skipping down here. Let's see. I don't think we need to do these exercises all together. So let's go to Peter discovers something important about Maya, which helps his plans along in this episode. All right, so let's look at some more vocabulary because let's just get these words in our head. So mazal, luck or fortune, historically constellation. Which or what is it? And that's what I need to work on this week. So that's probably where I'm going to spend the next few minutes. Bekibbutz, so in a kibbutz. But Tzafon is in the north. With 3 tribes. Okay, so Tipusi, I think I asked about this last week too. Tipusit. You can tell I need to keep reviewing this stuff. So typical Tipusi. Where's the let's see. Kavanaghi says, "Can I use be'etzem to sound like an annoying pedant then?" As be'etzem, like actually. Well, actually, as be'etzem, ze lo nachon, right? Okay, around, like, as, that's ka, kmo, ka, kacha. We talked about this as kasi. So I think kosi in Italian. Zevel, if you're watching, kacha, that's kosi. Yachol, lish'ol, livgosh. These are all on the screen, so you can see them. Mashe, that which, and chavrutit, boi, bo natchil. I did all of this like 2 weeks ago. I'm certain that I did these things. So let's continue and talk about language points, verbs in this group, in this gizra. So you have things that have yud or vav in the middle. And let's see. Yeah, you're giving corrections. I love it. Yeah, the next edition, I will say they're better with the grammar, for sure. And they talk about the specific, so like they clean some of that up. But you know, I what I am really enjoying getting from the chat here is how people actually do speak. Neshama sheli, Chaim sheli. If you're watching, we'll work on these words next. So these are infinitives that have or roots that have like a vav or a yud in the middle. Why vav or yud? Those are related. Those are related because u is what vav would have been historically, and that over time changes to e in a bunch of languages. It happened like 8 times in Greek, but over time, high back vowels with lip rounding front to high front vowel. They front to high front vowels. Weird thing. That's why you get lasim in this group as well. So we have lagur, to live or dwell. I think live is probably better. So ani gar po, ani gar be'aretz, ani gar be'New York, ani gar be'Artzot Habriot. Like, is that right? Yeah. But the infinitive lagur. So we have gara. Somebody can please confirm this for me, but I believe the main reason that you really got to focus on the stress here is that if you say gara, that is the past tense for the feminine. I gara. Lang Explorer, your script junkie, and those are all great scripts. And Georgian. Georgian has a beautiful script. Yeah, fantastic stuff. Okay, so gara, garim, garot. And I got gar right. Rome, thank you. Rome de. Okay. Rome, I don't know. I read that as Rome, like all roads lead to. Okay, so we have lagur. We have 5 of these here. Let's memorize them. Lagur is to live or to dwell. Lakum is to get up. So that would be kam, anikam, right? In the morning, babokar, anikam. Lasim, to put. So the infinitive sim, shalom. So lasim is to put, to place. That one I have a hard time wrapping my head around. Kato says they're homophones for you. Okay. Matt says you'd say the past for women is gara, not gara. Oh, so everybody's going to say gara. Gara in the past, gara in the future. I mean, not the future, the present. Wow. Okay. So anybody playing the home game, we're going to have gara. That's also the past, ugar. Igara. Would you add something there like aya gar, aita gar, aita gara? Please let me know. How do you differentiate? If you really want to differentiate, like she ran, she's not running now. Lo achshav. Scotty's learning quarter says, I wanted to ask a question about getting better at reading the script. I kind of read it from just life, but I sort of wish I could read it and not need transliteration. Is there a way to do better? There's two ways. There's two things that I can recommend. One is, this is why I use the transliteration. The more words you know, then you can recognize them when you read them, because you don't need, like, you have a word that's sort of a candidate that the letters prime. So when you see something like, I don't know, let's take lavo. So if you have a word like lavo, when you see that without any sort of nikud, then there's so many possible ways that we could read this if we don't know what it is. Native Hebrew speakers will look at it and know immediately it's lavo, but you and I could say, well, that could be, levoa, that could be lavo, that could be labva, like that could be a bunch of different things. If you know words and you understand them in context, like when you would use lavo, then you have this sort of higher order knowledge where it's like, this already is lighting up a part of my brain that's related to, it's priming something that already exists that I can draw on. So that's why I do like using transliteration. I think transliteration can be a really good scaffold for reading something, especially if it's sort of an abjad like this where you don't have all the sounds. It's not super helpful for Chinese because you're going to look at a character and be like, okay, I have no idea. But that's one. And the other is just more practice, more extensive reading. And there's two things there. Sight words, so recognizing entire words rather than sounding everything out. And the second part is looking at like recognizing sort of grammatical structures and then clusters, how things kind of cluster together. So for instance, let me find something here that's not transliterated. So like if we come up here, yesh, that should be a sight word. And you should probably be expecting lash, lach, lecha, li, something after it like that. Like this should basically already be priming your next word. Same thing for like mazal. We could fit a bunch of different vowels in here, but if you know the word mazal, then boom, you don't need anything else. And from the sentence structure, yesh lach mazal, yesh lecha mazal, that makes sense. So, once I get to something like this, I know right away without having to think about it. I'm like, this is complex. This is complex because the ha at the beginning, the hey at the beginning is probably the definite article. The hey at the end is probably a feminine marker. And then, you can say, okay, mishpacha, right? So ha mishpacha, boom, sheli, like that should be already basically a sight word. So it's practice, but it's practice where like, especially in Hebrew, like anytime I see a ba at the beginning of a word, I'm probably expecting that that's not part of the word. Same thing here, like bekibutz batzafon. So I have to think about it like in the north. So hopefully this is helpful, but it's not just practice. It's practice where you're like, let me get my sight words, let me recognize which pieces are going to be sort of clitics and whatever else. And then also the more words that you already know, the easier it is to look at something like this and be like, oh, mishpachot, okay, easy. Because it lights up those kind of, it primes that word and you're not trying to figure out a new word from the letters alone. Okay, so let me see. There's a lot of chat in the chat. Okay, we're talking about tender. Okay, let's see. Or add pa'am. Pa'am. Somebody needs to ayagar. Okay, I'm scrolling back up because I'm getting a bunch of answers to my questions. So, Rome or Rome says pa'am. I'd add ugar sham pa'am. Pa'am is like once, so like he lived there once. That actually makes a lot of sense to me. Add a time description. Snow says I would add ayagar. Yair says I would add a word like pa'am, or okay, shana shavra, the last year. Ayagar or ad pa'am. Okay, so this is the consensus. And then Vader or Vater, fun times, says technically one should say gara in the past and gara in the present, but everyone says gara always. Some people say aita gara Aita gara, to emphasize that it's in the past. Matt says Zevel, tell that to people on Tinder, which is always remember itiot etan. Yeah, okay. Tell that to people on Tinder. Okay. So bam. Okay. Recently. Okay, let's see. Old people doing different things. So Cater says somewhat of an individual difference. A bunch of people say gar for me, but definitely sounds like would have lived or used to live rather than lived. And then yeah, I got Ariel. So okay, language change in real time. This is a sociolinguistics paper in the making. We can all do this. Ba'am is passive beat. Okay. All right. Cool. By the way, I was answering a question here about reading and reading a little bit faster. Hopefully that was helpful for you. Did that answer your question? Let me know in the chat. But I try those. That's what I would do. That's what there's pretty good evidence for in terms of first language literacy learning as well. All right, so we were on five verbs: lagur, lakum, lasim, lavo, larutz. Lagur to live, lakum to get up, lasim to put. So these are kind of high frequency verbs that we're going to need to be able to handle. Lavo to come, and larutz to run. So gar, gara, garim, garot. I'm assuming that would be kam, kama, kamim, kamot, sam, sama, samim, samot. What is that? These we've learned in Duolingo, right? Ba. Black sheep, have you new? Ba, baim, baot. And to run, so ratz, ratza, ratzim, ratzot. So that is like early on in Rosetta Stone, right? Like ayeladot, ratzot. We got some words, home words. Abaita, so to home. This is a sort of locative kind of thing. Kumkum is the kettle, and park is park. So that's super fun and easy. Say samim is a fun. So ba'am is the passive beat, like a heartbeat. Heartbeat. You make me feel so weak. All right. Let's see. We got a little exercise here. My neighbor gets up at 6 and runs in the park next to our house. Our other female neighbor also runs in the park. They come home at 7. We get up at 8, put water in the kettle for coffee, and don't run in the park. And they want us to conjugate these. So let's do it. Shachen. Right? Is that correct? Shachen. I should memorize this word a little better. Shachen shali kam. They have the example here. Kam. Baboker. What about at 6? Oh, that's okay. So we're going to do this. So, השכן שלי קם בבוקר ב-6 ורץ בפארק על יד הבית שלנו. So, in the park next to our house. Okay? Samim means drugs. So put the drugs. They're putting the drugs somewhere. Samim. Samim at the samim, wherever. Okay, so let's see. Gam, ashchana. Somebody tell me in the chat these words. So shachen and shachena. Like what is neighbor? I need to learn this. I have neighbors. I need to be able to say that. Shchuna is neighborhood, right? That's what I'm getting confused by. So shachen. Okay, bayit. Thank you. Usually it's park. Okay. So גם שכנה שלנו רצה בפארק הם, that's both of them. So that would be הם באים הביתה בשבע. So they come home. באים הביתה בשבע. אנחנו, I don't know why I'm saying it that way. So אנחנו קם בשמונה. So we're getting all our numbers in here. And this is plural, right? So שמים מים לקפה בקומקום. ולא רצים בפארק. So we put the water in the kettle for coffee and we don't run in the park. By the way, I've got good news for everybody. I just thought of this because I saw it on a Piece of Hebrew video. Zevel, if you're still there, you'll be glad to hear that I emailed Piece of Hebrew and I said, hey, I'd love to like check out the club, maybe share it with my my followers, do a review or something, live stream, like we should figure it out. And next thing I know, I have an email saying, here's your access to the Piece of Hebrew Club. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet. It looks very promising. I'm pretty excited for it. And maybe, just maybe, we can do some sort of collaboration or something like that. But I totally forgot about it until I remembered Doron from Piece of Hebrew. Literally, Usam Maim le Cafe Bakumkum. And that was like, it triggered that memory. So there's something clearly about visual memory and seeing things happen and sort of episodic memory. So we'll see what happens with that. I've had a hard time signing in. I can't really get it working yet, but we'll, more updates as the news breaks. Yair says Park is spelled with an aleph because Perek is chapter, and Petek is a note, right? Like Rabbi Nachman of Breslov had a magical sort of Petek that somebody received. I don't know. I'm not hugely knowledgeable about that stuff. Kum. Matt, why do I always move the stress like it's Yiddish? Kum. Okay. אני שם מים לקפה בקומקום ולא רץ בפארק. Okay. Zevel, you said right with Easy Hebrew. Easy Hebrew, I only saw like 7 videos and they just kind of stopped. The Easy Languages Empire, they have so many videos. The French is great. The Italian is great. Check out One Word at a Time. I know I mentioned him before. He's got a thing about using the easy languages to like learn, and I think he's got a really good approach to that. You could try that. Chaim Sheli, no, she's not Israel. Chaim Sheli lo Israeli. Is Israelit. Israelit. I don't know. But no, the answer is no. So we are, neither one of us are. Obviously, I'm definitely not. So let's learn some question words before I go away, because this is really going to be useful. Eze, ezo, elu. Colloquially, eze is used for the plural. Why the quotation marks are different here than anywhere else is a mystery to me as much as it probably is to you. So what bus do you need? Eze autobus ata tzarich. Eze autobus ata tzarich. What music do you like? Ezo. Ezo muzika at ohevet. Can somebody tell me, do you say ezo? Is that a real thing? Is that a real thing that people say? Ezo. Ezo muzika. Muzika. Ezo muzika. Man, I am just all over the place with my stress patterns. Ezo muzika to hevet. What kind of music do you like? Chaim Shali, do you come here often? Elu, or eze, anavim atem ma'adifim. What are the different types? Now I have to learn how to say Concord grapes in Hebrew. I guess they're probably going to say like green versus I don't even know, like red? What is this? Ezo, eze. Perfect. Musica. All right, so I am not crazy. I shouldn't put the stress on the end of everything. Ezo musica to have it. So why do they not have a little... See, this is what I mean about these being a little sloppy. If it's musica, there should be a little mark here for non-native speakers like me. So I say eze, ezo musica to have it. Technically, ezo, most people would say ezo. Ezo musica sounds so Greek. Yeah, doesn't it? Doesn't it sound Greek? Ezo musica. Well, that's because musica is a Greek word that's loaned into Hebrew. Elu. People say elu, or you just say eze? Eze is more common for everything, says Rome. What, even feminine? You'd say like eze musica? If I can just simplify to eze, then that's one less thing to remember. I'll be aware of when I read it and be like, they're doing something grammatically correct. But if I can just say eze, then I'll just say eze. The Academy says it should be musica. I'm all over the place. So we have the Academy. We have, Israel and what they actually say, the man on the street. And so, I'm probably not going to be talking much with the Academy. Generally stress before the second to last syllable only in foreign words. So musica, okay. Musica. Okay. As in English, these words can be preceded by prepositions. Be'eze rechov ata gar. 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 I'm just like trying to get this working. Be'eze rechov ata gar. And then the answer would be like Dizengoff or something. Okay. Me'ezo eretz at ba'a. At ba'a. Me'ezo eretz at ba'a. Oh man, atba sounds fun. Me'ezo eretz atba. From what country? From which country do you come? Where are you from? So me'ezo eretz atba. Eze is used for everything colloquial, so I can say me'eze eretz atba. Okay, where are you from? What country are you from? Eze anavim atem. So eze, I don't know. I feel like my accent's going very weird. Eze anavim atem madifim. Eze anavim atem madifim. Eze anavim atem ma'adifim. Which grapes do you prefer? And then we can say all sorts of things like eze muzika atem ma'adifim. Eze misada atem ma'adifim. Like which restaurant do you prefer? Eze whatever. Good. It's a good question to have. Like what do you prefer? You said this book seems to use, and I have a little heart thing over here. So me'efota. Yeah, Zevel, that's exactly what I would have said. But what if you say like some nondescript answer, and then I have to ask you, well, but what country? All right, so new vocabulary. Iton. That's the first thing you learn in Rosetta Stone. How did you say what city does she live in? So city is ir. So we're gonna say what? In which city, right? Be'eze ir he gara. What city does she live in? Be'eze ir he gara. Matt says, not gonna lie, to be honest, hearing eze instead of ezo hurts you personally. So I will learn all of them and do it correctly. Fine. So should that be be'ezo ir? Because ir is weirdly feminine. Is that correct? What vegetables do you people eat? So elu, if I'm gonna be a stickler here, elu yarakim, yarakot. It's got to be yarakot, right? Elu yarakot. Country is usually Medina. Yeah, right. From what land do you hail? Country should be Medina, not Eretz. Thank you. So me'ezo, is that also feminine? Yes. Me'ezo Medina atba. Okay. Anyway, what vegetables? Is that yarakot? Elu yarakot. Atem ochlim. What concert are you going to? So that going to, that's the la. So would I say lezo concert? Atem orchim. Atem orchim. What newspaper do you buy? So eze iton. And it's what, masculine singular. So eze iton ata kone. Eze iton ata kone. Medina. It's not like Arabic. Medina. I see all these, every live stream, just Hebrew. The comments, like I would wager 20% of the comments are people giving me like, you put the stress in the wrong place. Do it again. So eze medina, me'ezo medinat ba, me'ezo medinat ba. Man, I am struggling today. Ze kashe meod. Actually, before I go, I'll just lob a grenade into the comments. Can somebody confirm for me uses of davka? Because I know davka in English, I know davka in Yiddish, and they have like a lot of different uses. This in the last chapter, I don't even think it's in this first edition here. What is this doing? It's a little confused about what page I'm on. They have davka in the little dialogue with Maria Gonzalez and the kibbutz. And I don't even know if it's in this version. No, it is. Okay, davka. They translate it as actually, which I don't know. So it's like, don't you like eggs? And he goes, I need davka. Don't you like rolls? And he goes, I need davka. I don't know. Ohev lachmaniot. And I see Cato says it's a hard one to translate. Do you know doch in German? No. I wish I did. So, yeah, that was at least I'm learning correctly. I have the advantage that not all people have in learning a language. I agree. So davka is related to is similar to the use of doch, but yeah, how would you all translate davka? I've heard davka used as actually, oh, I actually do, counter to your expectation, and I've also heard it as indicating like aftzalachis in Yiddish, counter to desire. I'm doing it precisely. No, precisely I do, right? No, I really do. or like she did it precisely to spite me. Like it's of course she did that. Like of course, maybe it's of course, but like contrary to your assumptions. Is that how we do it? Because I've seen articles about this and I never really wasn't clear. It seems like it's actually or of course, and it's contrary to what you said. So it's like in French you say oui if you're agreeing, but si if you're saying yes but you're disagreeing with the person. So like oh you don't like that? Si I do like that. So it's kind of like on the contrary, of course. Okay, I think I can use davka now. Yeah. Somebody here would be like, you davka can't use davka. Okay, but also, is that ose dav? No, it's asa davka, out of spite, just because. La sot davka is out of spite. Aftzalach is just because. Like you, of course you do that. Like of course. Okay. So here we go. I like la sot. Brennan, thank you. By many standards, but not by all, and I'm working on that as well. That's a whole separate thing that I'll make a video about later. But Aniger, and within the context of that, it's Masorti, and I'm looking at something a little more like Orthodox Giur L'Chumra in that process right now. So I don't want to misrepresent anything to anybody, but by the vast majority's opinion, they hold yes, and by a minority who I wish to participate with, they hold no for the moment, and things are sorting out. You'll be the first to know when that changes. Very like yeah, and for a while I thought it was like across the board, even the eved, but there's a whole separate issue there. So I'm giving you just bearing my heart here. Matt says one of those slangy words that are really hard to translate. Let's find some example sentences and I'll figure it out. That's what I should do in the last couple of minutes here. Is let's see if reverso context has any dafka sentences. So. We'll say, where's the, a lot of stuff has happened here. Let me go back. Yeah, so to answer Brennan's question, the answer may be, by many, yes, but by some, dafka, no. Okay, so let's see. English, Hebrew, nope. Hebrew, English. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this is reverso context. They have like a subscription thing, but it's also, they have a free thing. And I like this because it's a lot of subtitles and a lot of good example sentences. I'm going to switch my keyboard to Hebrew. I'm using the You're Totally Cheating Hebrew keyboard. And how do I spell dafka? Is it an aleph at the end? Yeah. Dafka. They say, see, this is what I mean. You get translations of actually, precisely, really, rather, specifically, even, especially, yes, kinda, and certainly. Kinda and certainly are opposite. Okay, I think we actually kept half that furniture too. So actually here is functioning like contrary to your opinion. So אני חושב שאנחנו דווקא, what is that, שמרנו? מחצית. Rehitim gam et ze. So, okay, that's what I really need is how it's being used here, and the rest I can stumble through later. I actually wrote a review of this car when it was new, so that's maybe like you wouldn't have thought that I did, but I did. It has to go precisely into the back of her skull. That seems like it's not contrary to your opinion, but it's just like, don't have any contrary opinions about this, please. So, ashkara. Oh no, do I have to ask about this now? This one I don't know. Okay. So I see somebody said, actually, eigentlich in German, that makes sense to me. And in fact, rather, ironically, ausgerechnet. Okay, that actually is really helpful. So it's basically, dafka has two uses, at least. One of these days, I really should tell that story. I should really tell that story. Okay, I was thinking it might actually be a nice keepsake, so you wouldn't think it is, but it is. I actually earned more today than I did at the GP, so you wouldn't think so, but it do. It's not just an album. It's just not an album I listen to very often, so it's really not. Ze davka lo album. It's freebies here. Who was asking about reading? This is what I mean. Album, right? It's a freebie. Somebody says the translations aren't that great. Oh no. I will say a lot of these, so they come from like matching translations from subtitles, and I recognize that sometimes the captioners take a lot of liberties, but it's a reasonable tool for just kind of getting a handle on some of this. So him davka, I'm thinking return an item for spite. So davka, la sot davka. So that was actually bishvil la sot davka. Bishvil la sot davka. I don't know why I say bishvil. Bishvil la sot davka. Very cool. Tries to use davka in places where they shouldn't be used. Album. Album. I want to say album. Okay. Yeah, is not a Hebrew sound. Ashkara. Really? We just get over me putting the stress in the wrong places? Ashkara? Okay. Let's see if I can do ashkara, and then I'll call it a day. Ashkara. Let's see what this says. Oh. Uh-huh. Okay. Red flag here. The F-bomb. Okay. All right, I'll probably look that up, and let's see about Wiktionary, and then I'll kind of finish up for the day. That's Hebrew. We're gonna see what Ashkara looks like. Wiktionary.org. Paste. We should see what they say for Dufka. Really or truly, but it's slang. From Persian. Come on, you guys. You gotta give me the freebies that I love. Okay. Let's see if there's any arguments with that description in the chat. And while you're doing that, while you're arguing over that, I will look for Duvka. Unexpectedly, just to spite, specifically or precisely, and in fact or actually. So those are all kind of like a related thing, and it's from Aramaic exactness through Yiddish. That actually tells me all I need to know about this, right? Like it's Aramaic, which we have like sort of, Gemara discussions there, and then through Yiddish, Davka. So Yiddish expansion of the understanding of a specific word from Gemara, give Yiddish flavor to it, and then you have unexpectedly, just to spite, specifically, precisely, or actually, and that makes perfect sense to me. From Aramaic, let's see what they say. Dauka, dauka. When a negation directly precedes the word, Aramaic lav is typically used instead of the native Hebrew lo, which I've seen in my Duolingo. Lav davka. Not necessarily, right? And you have la sot davka. So bishvil la sot davka sounds like something I should remember. He did it just to spite. Bishvil la sot davka. And it is stressed on davka. Okay. So let's see. Ashka is not a curse word. It can be followed before a curse. Okay. Gemara in Hebrew. Yeah, Gemara. Gemara. What do you want from me? I'm good. That stuff I'm going to say, like my Aramaic is going to be like a very Ashkenazi pronunciation of things. It's going to be Gemara. It's going to be, Talmud. It's Talmud, Gemara, Torah. Like, I feel like I'm going to have to code switch here. Yeah, it looks like it probably is the Aramaic equivalent of diuk. So we're having fun here. We're having fun. We're getting to Aramaic. We're getting into history. Let's see. So what are the 5 that we wanted to remember? We wanted to remember the sort of special conjugations, and that was what? Lagur is one, to live somewhere. What do we say? I'll go to the end. La routes. So lagur, lakum, to get up, to arise, like to get out of bed kind of thing, right? To stand up. So lagur, lakum, lasim, lavo, larutz. Big 5. That is me testing my active recall after a little bit of time. So I might as well finish up. I think I talked about Yachol. I'm scrolling now. Hopefully this is not giving anybody a conniption. So to be able is a adjective, not a verb, or it behaves in a very adjective-y way in Hebrew. Yachol, yachola, yacholim, yacholot. All you need to know, and this is really hard for native English speakers when we first encounter this kind of thing, is that some things in some languages that we do as verbs are adjectives. Some things that we do as adjectives are verbs. It's fine. They express the idea with a different structure. So it's just remember yachol, yachola, yacholim, yacholot. And then you follow it with the infinitive. So like I don't know, יכול, I don't know, לעשות את זה, what would you say, לעשות דווקא, right? Like, so we have, can you do this? Can you not do this? Exercises. Avital olechet. So it's a female Avital. Avital olechet leconcert. And then somebody can't come. I guess you're supposed to say whether or not so-and-so can come. So ani lo, or, היא לא יכולה לבוא. She can't come. All right, Matt, thank you. Thank you. Muhammad Barney says Gemara would have like a sort of orthodox flavor. Yeah, but I'm saying Gemara, like in shul. Okay, Matt, thank you. I'm about to bounce too. Snow, it's a verb, right? It's kind of, yeah, we're talking about defective verbs in here. For me, it's easy to think of it as just very adjective-y, and then put it in that category, and that's how I'm going to use it. And then we can dive into a grammar a little bit later. I think maybe, a few lessons on down the road, maybe once I'm done with all 14, we'll look at something like Lewis Glenard's grammar and dig into some like interesting topics. But as Evel's saying, doesn't have an infinitive. But neither really does it in English, right? We can't say, to can, to be able to. Like we have to say to be able to, which is be and then an adjective, right? So I guess it's more adjective-y than we want to admit in English too. He can do this, he can't do that, but we don't say like he used to can. He used to can. So, that's something that's a little cross-linguistically weird anyway, just in general. Let's, I'm already a little over time, but let's take a moment because I think it's still nap time. Let's do a couple new words, and then next time I'll just do shopping at the mall, making arrangements. We'll get on to the next thing. I canned actually, fun time. The past tense of can is I could, and the past tense of I shall is I should. So that's a whole weird thing that languages do cross-linguistically. Okay, kibbutz member, chaverat kibbutz. That's a construct state, right? Chavera, so chaverat kibbutz, that's feminine. So chaver kibbutz is a masculine, right? Chaverat kibbutz. Shabbaton, sabbatical, that's the original word. Sabbatical is the new version of it. She'ar is the rest or remainder, so the rest of, people. She'ar. Sister, achot, always messes with me because it looks plural, and then the plural is achayot. And I have to just remember, it's not plural. So ach is the masculine, achi, my brother, ach sheli, and then achot, achoti, achot sheli, achot is sister. I'm just saying it a bunch so that I get it kind of pounded into my brain. Your Vader is like Darth Vader. Thank you. Okay, I've been alternating between that and Dutch. Baal is husband, formerly master. Like there's a whole Baal thing. We're not a big fan of Baal, but it's a word that now is used as husband, even though there's a verse that's like 2,500 years old that's like, and you will say ishi and not baali. Anyway, whatever. Ishali, ishba, whatever. Children, Yeladim, United States, which I said a moment ago, Artsot Abrit. So Artsot Abrit, I said it wrong the first time. Artsot Abrit. Well, that's also a construct state. And married for a man is Nasui and Nesua for a woman. So we have here, Lama את כבר לא חברת קיבוץ? Why aren't you still a kibbutz member? And Maya says, אני עדיין חברת קיבוץ. I'm still a kibbutz member. אבל השנה, אני בשבתון ועובדת בתל אביב. So this year I'm on a sabbatical and I'm working in Tel Aviv. I don't think working is necessarily what one usually does on a sabbatical, but whatever, that's fine. And he says, ושאר המשפחה עדיין בקיבוץ. So, and the rest of your family, that's super useful. שאר המשפחה עדיין בקיבוץ. She says, לא, יש לי אחות. יש לי אחות שגרה עם הבעל שלה והילדים בארצות הברית. I have a sister who lives with her husband and her children in America, בארצות הברית. Peter says, גם לי יש אחות בארצות הברית. So, גם לי יש, גם לי יש אחות בארצות הברית. I also have a sister in America. אבל היא לא נשואה. She's not married. But she's not married. היא לא נשואה. So, short one here. But they're trying to introduce smichut, which is something that we'll spend a lot of time on coming up, because it's fun. construct state and absolute state. This is something that is a delight. I have published academic papers on this where I say this is a thing that I make an argument for this in Zulu. It's similar to like izafa in Persian and idafa in Arabic. It's a fun grammatical thing that some languages do. Yeah, the name for the USA cracks you up always, and I see the American flag and a pair of scissors. It's yeah, for anybody who's confused about why that's funny, Arzot is the plural of Eretz, so land, right? And Brit is a so it can be translated as a covenant, can be translated as a contract, but is also like a bris. So the Brit Milah is circumcision. So that's why Kevin Nagy has the flag and the scissors there. It's the land of the the circumcised. Unexpectedly, the U.S. and not Israel. All right, we're gonna go for we're gonna go do these later. All this stuff later. Also, just the last thing, this map of the family is completely confusing and ridiculous, but it actually does have all the information on it. So we'll do this maybe next week. Maybe I'll just skip to shopping at the mall and let anybody who's studying on their own study this on your own. So until next time, I want to say, let me look at all of you directly. Let me change my scene. So until next time, thank you all. I always have a blast with this. I feel like I learn a lot from all of you in the comments, and hopefully those of you who are not native speakers are learning from the comments as well and having fun. But this is great for me. So much more than just a way of making a few cents on studying, because the live streams are not making me any money on YouTube, but so much more than doing that, and also like having an extra video a week or whatever. This is actually like, I get so much out of this. And so I hope that those of you watching get something out of it too and really enjoy it, because I am having a blast. So until next time, I think maybe next week I'll be live streaming. It might be home. I don't know. First of all, I don't know where I'm going to be. And second of all, even if I did know, I'm not going to tell the internet in advance. I'll tell you where I was. I'm not going to tell you where I will be. So that's some tenses and aspects there. But thank you all. And maybe next week, if not week after. And good night, good afternoon, good week, Shavuot Tov. Anybody who's observing, have a wonderful Shavuot. If you're staying up all night, more power to you. That's probably not going to be me, but good luck to all of you. With that, have a wonderful week. Be kind to one another, and happy learning. And we'll see you again sometime soon. And I will probably continue to ramble until I cut this off, but I think I've said enough. And I can see myself on the screen saying goodbye, so I'm going to end the stream. And if it ends abruptly, I've done all right. So good night, goodbye, good luck. Litraut. Bye.